Welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, a start of a new week. I know it's the worst day of the week for a lot of people, but happy Monday. This show is about this past weekend where we were very fortunate enough to go down to Kobra Wrestling Academy's first ever solo show. It was a great show in general. Really great to see some of our usual wrestling buddies, along with obviously Sky and the team at Cobra Wrestling. So I just want to say a big thank you to them initially for giving us the opportunity to come down and watch a show. The interview with Sky, we had a brief interview with Sky Smithson. That is on up on our Instagram. And I think on our Facebook as well. So go and check it out. She was nervous ahead of the first show, but she had nothing to be nervous about those because it was a great show. Look, let's just get into it because this show it was in a packed out crowd at Holbridge for a start. It's not far away from me, about 20 minutes or so. Always nice to go and see a local show. Good to see a couple of my friends. Liam Essex WrestleView was there. Didn't get a chance to talk to him as much as I would normally like to, but we will catch up at another show. But good to see Liam as always. Look, always what I say about shows um, is about sort of kind of remembering who and what's on the card. Now we have to remember that a lot of these are trainees. In some cases, it's their first matches or first single matches that they've done since going through wrestling school. So you have to be mindful of that. Although, to be honest, you wouldn't really know it when we were going through these matches, and it was like, wow, these guys are, they're obviously listening, which is important when you're in these training schools, listening to Sky, listening to Mark True and the other trainers that they have. Because they delivered a fabulous show, really did. But look, let's just get into the matches now. I always say about these shows when we go to independent shows, start the show hot, get the crowd invested from match number one. I've been to shows where that hasn't been the case, in my opinion. Anyway, I certainly wasn't invested, but I will say this one, it absolutely was. Now, this was kind of starting the show hot in terms of the crowd getting involved, and this was the big thing. And it was RJ Singh, very experienced, the DDT King. As a very experienced across Brit Wrestling against a young man who wrestling has been kind of his life, really. And I know this because I've been to shows where he's been there. I was talking to his mum actually after his match. And, it's been his dream since 12 to be a professional wrestler. And one of these things that, I hear quite often is, oh yeah, I've always wanted to be a wrestler, but never either went to school or it didn't happen, And I have to say, when this is Billy Nero, by the way, that I'm talking about, that it's so refreshing to see when somebody says, I want to be a wrestler, that they have at least gone and gave it a shot. Because I tried it and it just wasn't for me. There was no way that I was going to be able to be a professional wrestler. It just wasn't going to happen, right? But I tried it. I gave it a go. Wasn't for me. This kid has come in, give it a go, and it's proven to be his thing, right? And it is so nice and refreshing to see that. And he got the crowd up. The crowd were all, rooting for him. Of course, his family and friends were there, but the crowd in general were rooting for Billy. And this was actually quite a real sort of old school style wrestling match. You had RJ Singh, the experience factor against obviously Billy Nero, first singles match. He's been in sort of multi-person matches, but you know, never had to be in a match on his own, so to speak. And he done such a great job. He done a job of hyping the crowd up. He done a great job of getting the moves in. It looked, as I said, it wouldn't have you wouldn't have known it was his first singles match, and RJ was just typical RJ, healing it up, getting his mum involved in this as well, which we actually which was quite funny during the show, but also during this actual match. But you know, it was so nice. It was really good. The crowd were invested, and that's the key bit, right? Is getting this crowd invested. Because I always say with the show, you start it here, yeah, you have a few dips in the road, or in this case, you don't. But You just get them ready, you get them hyped, you get them up there. And this match certainly did this. RJ was looking for the DDT throughout this match, didn't actually manage to hit it, which was quite surprising, but he does have another finish, and that was the camel clutch. Now, he did try a couple of times during this to put it on. Billy manages to escape. He hits a nice little Hurricane Rana in there as well. Nice little drop kick in there from Billy. And then again, it was the camel clutch that started the end of this, because once he tried to put the camel clutch on again, Billy reversed it into a pinfall and got the 1, 2, 3 for a massive, massive victory in this first ever singles match. Generally this doesn't happen. Generally, you have your first match, you do everything you can do, and it's not always quite enough. But in this match, it was, and Billy picks up a huge, huge win. And I must say, I mean, Billy's been around, like I say, he's been around Brit Rest, going to a lot of shows. So even though he may not have been scouting RJ during those shows, preparing himself for maybe one day getting there, he knew all about RJ. He knew what he was about, and you could tell that. And that's another really good thing. Sometimes people come into wrestling, maybe never been to a show. That's a possibility. They've never been to a show. They've never done anything like it. They've come from another collegiate background. Whereas Billy has been there, seen it, done it, watched the shows, been to hundreds, probably met RJ so many times as well. So it was nice to see that, but it was nice to see Billy scouting him a little bit as well, and I thought that was really, really good. But a huge win for Billy Nero. What's next for him? I mean, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But it's amazing. It's a big, sorry, congratulations to Billy, and it's the start of a journey, and I really hope that journey's successful for him. Like I say, many people say it that they're going to be a wrestler. Not many people do it. So massive respect for Billy for not only believing in your dreams, but acting on them as well. And it will be great to see where that journey takes him in the future. We now move to an open challenge match. This was Big Ben McDonough. First time I've ever seen Big Ben. And big by name, big by nature. He's a unit, that's for sure. Look, he wanted to come out. He was part of the Cobra joint show with Catch 22, but to be, he wanted to be, he wanted this show to be about him. Let's be honest. It was all about him, but he issued an open challenge. Well, Ted Saban, a good friend of the show and a good friend of mine, accepted that challenge. But he's like, well, he's not a part of Cobra and all of this. So out comes Big O. I've seen Big O a lot of times through DKW recently in RCWA. So then it was like, well, this is two people. It's going to be a triple threat match. And then the familiar music that I am very aware of. Mr. Tom Mercer or Tommy Mercer. So this is great now. We got Tool Tom Pro. We got Tool Tom, Tom Mercer, Tommy Mercer, Tom Thumb, whatever else you want to call him, the big man. Unusually the crowd favorite in this one. I'm so used to Tom not being a crowd favorite. We've got issues as well, by the way. Still to be resolved at Ignite, but Tom was in there. And you know what? This was so fun because you had kind of three taller guys in this. Big O, Tom, obviously, and Ben. And then you had Ted Saban, who's obviously not got the height factor, but he's got the heart factor. He's got the speed. Tom ain't slow by any slouch, by the way, either. You had massive striking ability from Big Ben. I mean, when Ben hits, he hits, and then you had the unpredictability of Big O. I tell you what, there was a black hole slam by Big Ben in this that I thought was going to break the ring. I mean, when he was, yeah, he's a big old lump, and when he was flying around hitting people, Jesus, you saw it. I mean, he had Ted Saban about 13 foot in the air during this as well. It was crazy. But of all things on my bucket list that I never thought I'd be able to tick off, tall Tom Mercer doing a high cross body off the top rope was not on my bingo card to ever be marked off, but he did. There's a video. I've already posted it. It will be going out on our YouTube channel in the future as well. But Tom Mercer, and he even tried to do the Randy Orton. If you see Randy Orton in the Undertaker Hell in a Cell, a good few, we're going back quite some time, but a decade or so ago, maybe longer. You will see Randy Orton do a high cross body, and he kind of like adds a frog splash element into it with his legs. Tom Mercer does that. But anyway, him and Big Ben battle to the back, and they're not to be seen for the rest of this contest. And Big O puts Ted in the ankle lock. Ted manages to escape and eventually hits a split-legged moonsault off the top rope for the one, the two, the three. Ted Saban picking up the victory in that one. It was incredibly fun. Fast paced when it needed to be. The power aspect was there. You had kind of a lot of different styles in this, and it really worked well together with those four in there. Probably Big O's best match that I've seen him in. I've seen him in a few matches now. This was probably his best outing for me. Lots of fun. Wasn't sure if he was a face or a heel in this. I have to say the crowd wasn't really getting into him as much as Ted and even as much as Tom, and they were going off on one on Ben McDonald. But really enjoyable fatal four-way match. And do you know what? I was talking to my other half during this match, and I was like, I actually think this could be the first time I've seen Ted win a match since I've been going through a number of years now. I don't think I've seen him win a match up until now. It's quite surprising, but well done, Ted. Good victory. Um, we now come to another kind of experience versus, relatively newbie in the ring. Matt Craven, I've seen him a few times at DKW, obviously a big part of the Cobra Wrestling Academy, and he was going against Kieran Lacey from the team of True and Lacey, a very experienced man, just back from Japan, another successful tour for that tag team, and this really was a match where the experience really played a factor. You could tell in this one. Kieran was, what he was doing very well was obviously Craven's quite quick and he does get around that ring a little bit. Kieran wasn't allowing him to do that. He was wrestling that slow, methodical pace that he does. And lots of heavy hitting from Kieran as well. A lot of playing up to the crowd and calling them mugs like he would normally do in this as well. And it was really, and that was really what the match was about. Kieran wasn't allowing Matt to get that offense in that Matt does, get that quickness going. Every time he tried, Kieran wasn't, going to let him do it any further. And ultimately, the experience head played into this, and in more ways than one, because it was kind of like a spear headbutt that Kieran Lacey hit that picked up the victory for him in this one. And I would say that, it was one of those ones where the experience factor definitely played into it. There was no question about it. And Kieran picking up the victory there. Matt will come back. And there's more to this a bit later on that we'll get into. But Matt will certainly be coming back and picking up some victories, no doubt, at Cobra Wrestling. But it just wasn't to be on this one. The experience head, like I said, played off. Once we had come back from the intermission, we then had another one of these matches where I would say, and I wouldn't say it was experience versus new, it was experience versus someone that was coming back into wrestling. She'd been away for 7 years. Kimmy Akiss, she returned after a 7-year break from wrestling. And D and KWA Cobra certainly brung her back with a bang because her opponent, again, we talk experience, we talk somebody that's traveled the world, somebody that's a big name in more ways than one in the world of Brit Rest, and that was, of course, the deadly Nightshade. And boy, oh boy, Nightshade controlled this match from pretty much from start to finish. A bit like the Kieran Lacey match that just before. Very, very much controlled by Nightshade. She didn't really give Kimmy much of an opportunity. There was a couple of times in there. She's done a big German. I mean, got Nightshade up for a German. I mean, that's that's pretty, that's pretty impressive. There was, as I say, she had her moments in there. That was a 2 count. ultimately in that one. But that was pretty much as good as it got for Kimmy. As I say, apart from the odd moment here and there, Nightshade absolutely dominated, a lot like Kieran Lacey did. Very, very hard hitting from both though. When they both got their moves, they were hard hitting. Nightshade in the corner with the sort of elbow punches, and Kimmy wasn't no slouch. She was giving some good chops going in there as well. So she had a really good account of herself. But it was Nightshade that picked up the victory. It was corner thrusts, I call them, a bit like when Jey Uso flies into the corner and hits the back a bit. That's exactly what Nightshade did twice, followed up by a big sort of, I wouldn't call it like a bomb or a slam, but like if you look, remember A-Train's finisher from the WWE, that was what it was, and she picked up the victory. But you got to give Kimmy credit. First match in 7 years, and she's going in there with one of Brit Rest's top women, and she didn't look out of place. It was just that Nightshade right now is at the top of her game, and that is, very difficult to beat. But congratulations, Kimmy. Welcome back to the world of wrestling. I hope that the match against Nightshade certainly hasn't put you off without a doubt, because you belong in that ring and you've done a great job in that match that you had. Battle of the Coaches was next. So obviously there's two main coaches down at Cobra. Mark True being one of them, again, fresh from his escapades in Japan. And of course, the villainess herself, Sky Smithson. Wonderful, nice little bit with Sky at the front at the start, coming out of her nephew, which was very, very nice. Of course, Mark made sure that played into it. Um, Tell you what, this, I've had the privilege of watching both of these for some time, so I knew this match was going to deliver, and it certainly did deliver. These two just put on a great, great, great wrestling match. There were some good bits in there. There was two massive stalling vertical suplexes from them both in this, which was really, really good. They were hanging, and we were counting with them when they was hanging up in the vertical suplexes. But these two showing you why they're two of Brit Rest's finest. Mark is, he's been out in Japan. Former turnbuckle champion, of course. I have to say that he was a former champion of ours. We had our differences when he was a champion, but ultimately, still one of the best of Brit Rest has to offer. And the future for him is the only one way him and Kieran are going, and that's far in this business. Sky is just incredible at what she does, and it's great that also she's opened up the school and she's coaching the next lot of talent that comes in, and I really, it was really nice to see her. I haven't seen her in action in a while, to be honest with you, but I think the last time I actually saw her in action was part of the experience with LA Taylor Progress. So it's been a while since I've seen Sky. I see Mark quite often, but this was great match. Really, really great match. I mean, Mark sells like his rent is due, and boy, oh boy, when he got hit in that crossroads, he sold that big time, and it was a fantastic crossroads, by the way, from Sky that picked up the victory. But this is where things turn a little bit. Sky was like, hey, respect. We had a great match. Let's show the respect that this match deserves. Kieran Lacey comes out and says, "What are you doing? She's a mug. Don't shake her hand." And then it was a little bit apparent. Mark was like, "No, no, 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 no. Hold on, hold on, hold on." Turns around, headbutts Sky Smithson, and the attack is on. Matt Craven from earlier on comes back out, helps his trainer out, clears the ring, and Sky gets on the mic and says, "At the next show, it's going to be me and Matt versus you two mugs." So here we go. We got a match already booked for the show. Date to be confirmed, though, everybody. So keep a lookout on Cobra Wrestling Academy's social media for that. But get yourself down there when it happens. Hopefully, we'll be back again. Hopefully, we'd like to be invited again. If we are, we'll definitely be there. But make sure you do. Keep an eye on Cobra Wrestling Instagram and Cobra Wrestling Academy as well. Now, main event time. Oh my God. Where do I start with this? Do you know what was really so this was going to be another experience versus new, and you don't get it more experience than the Vulture, Spike Trevay, who is looking in phenomenal, phenomenal shape. He is, you know, someone who absolutely deserves a contract. I don't say that often in Brit Rest, but he plays the character just so well, and say he's in incredible shape. The music, everything about him is just great. Against good friend of ours, AJ Payne, the Juice himself. There was a great visual, and we couldn't get a picture of it because it was on the opposite side of where we were sitting. AJ come out first, and Spike is doing his entrance, and AJ he stood on the second rope, and it reminded me of there was a visual in the WWE, and forgive me, I can't remember the match, but there was a guy on. It was like a world championship match, and there was someone standing on the second turnbuckle looking down at his opponent. The visual was great, and that little visual there, and I hope someone did catch it on camera. I'm sure that they did. Um, it's an incredible shot of it. This is AJ's biggest match of his career. I was talking to Sky about it before the show. As they the interview you can see on our pages. It's a 3 4 minute interview. It's not long, but Sky was busy and I didn't want to disturb her too much because, first show, I know how that feels. And yeah, AJ staring him down at the start was great. And then they done this thing with the mask, but Spike took the mask off. The crowd wanted to put the mask back on, which was quite funny. But when that bell rang, absolutely, I can't fault the match. There's not one thing I could say, oh, they did, no. This was again when I say AJ's best match in his short career so far, without a doubt, and I've seen him in some bangers. This was the best. Hard hitting. Spike was Spike. He wasn't like, taking it easy on the kid either. He was going for him as well. And you saw him hit so many great moves in this. Spike was vicious when he needed to be. AJ was giving as good as he's got. It was great. And AJ just wouldn't stay down. Spike hit him with near enough everything he could hit him with, and AJ just wouldn't stay down. What I did see about AJ in this one that I hadn't seen too much, only little bits, in the sort of handful of matches that I've seen of him, he was bringing out a lot more of a technical and submission style to his game, and that was something interesting. I never knew. I'm not saying I never knew that he had it in him, but I've never seen it a lot. And this was the first time that I'd seen him hit quite a lot of submissions during this time as well. And not only that, he did try and hit the sliced bread in this. It didn't happen the first time, and Spike was then decided that things were, it wasn't going his way because AJ just weren't staying down. He wasn't getting the job done that he needed to get done. When maybe Spike overlooked AJ here and thought, if I hit him with a couple of my big moves, it's done. Well, it wasn't, and he then decided to push the ref into at this point and near enough into this, but it turned out to be his downfall because straight after he done that, AJ hits the sliced bread, picks up the 1 2 3 for, well, definitely the biggest win of his career. There's no doubt about it. A huge win for AJ, and one at which we AJ was getting emotional. I got to admit, I was a little bit in there. I mean, and again, I messaged him after. And from the moment that I saw him in there, and obviously, look, we all know that my affiliation with Ignite, and Ignite looked at the sort of stuff that I put out on him, and asked me for my opinion on him, and Ignite have gone and booked him. Which there's a sense of pride for me in that sense because look, someone that I've seen, Regan's the same, Regan Blade's the same. He wasn't on the show, but and AJ is. A wonderful guy, a wonderful kid. And he got emotional. And I was looking at that match and I was thinking, wow, I won't say I was getting emotional, but there was a sense of pride in it for me. And I've got nothing to do with him. It's all Sky, it's all the team at Cobra and everywhere else. But he's a kid that's, I believe in him. I really, really do. And, to see him in that match, to see him have that match, to see him do everything he's doing right now. And, he does, and on a slight side, he makes his Ignite debut on May the 3rd for the breakout. And, I'm so looking forward to having him there. But there was a lot of pride from me in there as well. And that's not me making this about me. It's just when I see someone that's got a lot of talent and I see, the guy's got the right head on his shoulders and I think this guy could do something. And to see him do it is just, it does a nice feeling inside. And that's exactly what it has. And at the end of it, Sky come out, thanked all of us, and she had her trainers in the ring, all the guys, Matt Craven, Big O, obviously Arch as well was all in there, and they all and Kimmy and it all gave us it was that they got the ring, so to speak, which is such a nice thing to do for Sky, and that was a lively way to wrap up an incredible show. And I was, again, I'm so thankful for getting the opportunity to go down there and see it and see some of my good wrestling buddies and have a great time. And again, big thanks to Cobra for giving us the opportunity to come down and see you guys. We'll definitely, hopefully, be back at your next show that you do it. So, guys, make sure you follow them. Instagram, Kobra Wrestling Academy. Instagram as well, Kobra Wrestling. Two separate things, but make sure you follow both on there and go and see them and go and see all of Brit Rest. Look, there was a lot of Brit Rest action going on this weekend, so make sure you go and see your local shows and keep the Brit Rest train running. Look, we'll be back this week with a lot more, lots of interviews dropping, as you would have seen on our socials. Follow us, HTT Buckle, everywhere. And until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.